You think hillbilly comfort food was all beans and cornbread every dang night? Nope. These mountain kitchens were pulling off straight-up magic with scraps, cast iron, and a whole lot of know-how. Let's crack open 10 forgotten hillbilly comfort foods that once ruled the hollers and then vanished. Number 1. Spoon bread. Spoon bread was the glow-up nobody saw coming. Born in the backwoods of Virginia and Kentucky, this dish took plain cornmeal and turned it into something soft, airy, and downright classy by mountain standards. Cooks would slowly whisk cornmeal into boiling milk until it thickened into a heavy mush. Didn't look promising at first. Then came the upgrade. Beaten eggs folded in gently, a pat of butter if you had it, maybe a pinch of baking powder. Into a hot oven it went, and what came out was pure surprise. Golden on top, custardy underneath, so tender you couldn't cut it. You had to scoop it with a spoon. This was Sunday food, church supper food, preacher is coming food. Serving spoon bread meant you were doing all right, at least for one night. Number 2. Skilly Skillet beans. Skilly Skillet beans were pure mountain fuel, no frills and no apologies. This was breakfast or supper when you had a long, brutal day of work ahead and needed something that would stick with you till dark. Dried beans got soaked overnight, then dumped into a cast iron skillet come morning with whatever pork you had. Salt pork, bacon scraps, ham bits, even just grease if times were lean. Onions went in next, chopped roughly, followed by a splash of water or leftover pot liquor. Everything simmered slowly until the beans started breaking down and turning creamy, soaking up all that smoky fat. The result was thick, rich, and heavy, meant to be eaten straight from the skillet with corn pone or biscuits used like a spoon. It wasn't pretty, but it powered coal miners, loggers, and farmers through 10-hour days without blinking. Number 3. Red-eye gravy. Red-eye gravy is one of those hillbilly inventions that sounds downright wrong until you taste it. This thin, coffee-spiked gravy came straight out of the waste-nothing kitchens of the rural South. After frying slabs of salty country ham in a cast-iron skillet, cooks didn't toss the drippings. Instead, they poured in strong black coffee, yesterday's brew if that's what was on hand. The skillet hissed and steamed as the coffee loosened every browned bit stuck to the pan. What you got was a dark, reddish gravy with an oily sheen that looked like a bloodshot eye staring back at you. The flavor was bold, salty, bitter, and smoky all at once. Red-eye gravy wasn't meant to drown biscuits. You dipped into it, usually alongside ham and grits, letting that sharp coffee bite wake you up before a hard day's work. Number 4. Chowder beans. Chowder beans were Appalachian winter survival in a bowl. Not quite soup, not quite stew. This dish showed up when the snow piled up, and fresh food was just a memory. Mountain families relied on dried beans because they kept forever and filled bellies cheaply. Great Northern or Navy beans soaked overnight, then simmered all day with a ham bone or a chunk of salt pork for flavor. Here's the trick that made them chowder beans. About halfway through cooking, the cook mashed a big portion of the beans right against the side of the pot. That released starch and turned the broth thick, creamy, and almost luxurious. Some folks splashed in milk or cream if the cow had been generous, plus butter and plenty of black pepper. The result was rich, velvety, and warming in a way only slow-cooked beans can be. Served with corn pone or biscuits, chowder beans could carry a family straight through a cold mountain night. Number 5. Snowball Salad. Snowball salad was pure Appalachian potluck energy. Sweet, strange, and proudly homemade, this dish showed up at church dinners, wedding showers, and funeral spreads from the 1930s through the 1960s. And no, it wasn't a salad in any modern sense. It was hillbilly creativity meeting mid-century convenience food. The base was cottage cheese mixed with crushed pineapple, lemon jello powder, and whipped cream or Cool Whip once that hit the shelves. Some cooks tossed in mini marshmallows just because they could. That fluffy mixture got scooped into round balls, then rolled in shredded coconut until they looked like actual snowballs. After a long chill in the icebox, they firmed up just enough to hold their shape. Serving Snowball Salad meant you were trying to be fancy without breaking the bank. It was sweet, tangy, creamy, and slightly ridiculous, but folks loved it and plates always came back clean. Number 6. Tomato Aspic. Tomato aspic was hillbilly elegance in gelatin form. Back in the 1930s through the 1950s, when Jell-O molds meant you were keeping up with the times, tomato aspic was how mountain kitchens showed they could do fancy too. This wasn't sweet Jell-O. This was savory, bold, and unapologetically weird by today's standards. Cooks heated tomato juice with onion, celery, bay leaf, and a splash of Worcestershire, building a deeply seasoned base. Unflavored gelatin was dissolved and stirred in, along with vinegar or lemon juice to give it bite. Sometimes chopped olives or celery were added for texture. The mixture was poured into a ring mold and chilled until firm and jewel bright. Sliced and served on lettuce leaves, the tomato aspic was tangy, slippery, and intense. Folks ate it proudly, convinced this wobbly red mold was the height of sophistication, and for its time, it absolutely was. Number 7. Sardines and Crackers. Sardines and crackers were the no-nonsense meal when you were tired, broke, or both. From the 1920s through the 1960s, tins of sardines sat in Appalachian pantries like edible insurance policies. Cheap, shelf-stable, and packed with fat and protein, they didn't need a stove, a skillet, or any fuss. You'd pop that little key, roll the lid back, and get hit with that strong, salty, fishy smell that separated the hungry from the picky real fast. The sardines went straight onto saltine crackers, oil soaking in and softening them up. Some folks mashed the fish into a spread with a fork, adding hot sauce or vinegar for kick. Others ate them whole, bones and all. No shame about it. This wasn't comfort food in the cozy sense. It was fuel, honest, briny, get-you-through-the-day food that kept miners, loggers, and bachelors upright when the cupboards were bare. Number 8. Succotash. Succotash was Appalachian comfort food with ancient roots and garden-fresh swagger. Long before freezers and canned sides, this dish came straight from Native American tradition and settled deep into hillbilly kitchens as a way to stretch the harvest. At its core, succotash was just corn and beans, but mountain cooks knew how to make it sing. Fresh corn got cut straight off the cob, milky and sweet, while lima beans or butter beans simmered until tender. Everything went into a pot with butter or bacon drippings, a splash of milk or cream if you had it, and plenty of salt and black pepper. Some families tossed in tomatoes, onions, or peppers depending on what the garden was giving that week. As it cooked, the corn released starch, turning the whole thing creamy without needing flour. Succotash wasn't flashy, but it was filling, nourishing, and tasted like late summer in the holler. Number 9. Possum Pie. Possum Pie fooled a lot of folks, starting with the name. There wasn't a scrap of possum in it, and that was the whole joke. This was a layered dessert that played possum, pretending to be something rough and wild, while actually being rich, sweet, and downright indulgent. It showed up across the rural South and Appalachia in the 1950s and 60s, especially at church suppers and holiday gatherings. The base was usually a pecan or graham cracker crust, pressed in and baked until toasty. On top went a thick layer of sweetened cream cheese, whipped smooth and fluffy. Then came chocolate pudding, sometimes homemade, sometimes straight from a box, followed by a cloud of whipped cream or Cool Whip. Chilled until firm, possum pie sliced into tall, dramatic wedges. Folks laughed at the name, then went back for seconds. It was hillbilly humor wrapped in pure dessert luxury. Number 10. Pepperoni Rolls. Pepperoni rolls are a straight-up West Virginia legend. Born in coal country in the 1920s, this wasn't snack food. It was survival food built for miners working brutal shifts underground. Italian immigrant bakers figured out that pepperoni's salt and oil acted like natural preservatives. Wrap it in bread, bake it tight, and suddenly you have a meal that wouldn't spoil in a hot, dusty mine. The method was simple, but genius. Soft white bread dough got wrapped around a whole stick of pepperoni, sometimes with a little mozzarella tucked in if you were feeling fancy. As it baked, the pepperoni released its spicy oil into the dough, flavoring every bite. Miners ate these cold, straight from their lunch pails, washing them down with black coffee. No plates, no mess, no refrigeration needed. Today, they're a regional pride food. But back then, pepperoni rolls were just how working folks stayed fed when quitting wasn't an option. These hillbilly comfort foods weren't trendy, pretty, or polite. But they worked. They fed families, stretched nothing into something, and kept whole communities alive through hard times. If this took you back, hit subscribe and stick around, because Forgotten Foods still tells the real American story.